What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So today we're going to be doing second lord in the sixth house. Today we are going to be talking about second lord in the sixth house and what happens when the second lord is in the sixth house of your horoscope. So what is the second house? Second house represents your wealth, your accumulated wealth, your family assets, your collection of assets like gold, jewelry, gems. Okay, whatever you feel like hoarding as a value, whatever you value is seen from the second house of the horoscope. It's also your family. It represents people who provided you wealth because it's second from the first house. First house is your body. It was the nourishment of your body through family. So it represents family, family history, family lineage. What type of a family you grew up in. Okay, was it strict? Was it artistic? Was it loose? Was it criminal? Was it political? Was it, anything can be seen from the second house. So when that planet that controls your second house in your birth horoscope is sitting in the second house in your horoscope, what is going on? Well, the one thing misconception people have is that second lord in the sixth house, which is an evil house, you're going to lose your wealth. That's not the case, because second, sixth, and 10th house are part of a house group in astrology called as Artha houses. These are the houses of success in a career. These are the houses of victory in career. Okay, so Artha houses are very important, and in sixth house you can form Raj Yoga and Dhan Yoga. Because what is the sixth house? Sixth house is a house of your enemies, debts, diseases, obstacles. Okay, it's a house of small animals, small pets, house of non-profit organization, your everyday work life. It's a house of service, pretty much, where you go and give your service to other people. Okay, so all of these things are represented by the sixth house. So when the second lord comes into the sixth house, it shows what you value. What you consider valuable of the second house is through giving service to other people. Your wealth is earned through service industry. Your wealth is earned through healing other people, working with non-profit organization. You also becomes very health conscious with this, because sixth house is a house of diseases. So what happens is, what you value is your health. These people are always about, hey, I want to stay fit, I want to eat the right things, and I want to do the right things, and I want to provide that to other people. So here, you will be more concerned with providing healing efforts to other people. You will be very much involved in everyday work life and trying to build your wealth through that. You will build your wealth through enemies. Now, here's the thing. Depending upon what second lord planet goes into the sixth house, you will have different fluctuation of results. Like sixth house also represents small animals, so you value small animals, you value pets. But what type of pets, how much, how little, is all depends on the planet. Is it a natural malefic? Is it a natural benefic? Or is it a neutral planet? Okay. So let's say if Sun goes into the sixth house. Sun is your second house lord, goes into the sixth house. And Sun represents your father, government, personality, ego, self-esteem. It shows that your ego and personality was developed by working with other people, by providing a help to other people. It shows your father was in this government industry or service industry. Your father was mostly in a government industry, because Sagittarius represents law and order, besides even higher learning. So government and law and order shows that you're working in improving the situations of the government. So you can work in the administrative side. You can be your father must have been a school teacher. Your ego was developed by being in conflicts. Your self-esteem and your pride came when you had victory over enemies. And Sun here burns the significance of the sixth house. So it burns your enemies. You made your money through enemies. So whatever business was, let's say you opened up a restaurant, or you went into a government service, and people who hated you, people who despised you, went to your restaurant and ate one day without even knowing that you owned that restaurant. They paid taxes, and from those taxes, your salary was paid through government. So you made money through enemies. You made profit through enemies. However, one thing you also realize that a sun is a mild malefic planet. So what it does, it will create some health problems. It may create some, like usually heartburn is seen with this. But sun burns the significance of the sixth house, so it shows that it takes care of the diseases, it takes care of all the, enemies, deaths, and, obstacles. It burns that for you. And especially sun is in the friendly sign of Sagittarius, of spirituality, higher learning, religious involvement. So you're involved with non-profit organizations. You're there to spiritually heal other people because sun is the most important planet regarding spirituality. Okay? Let's say moon comes into the sixth house as second house lord. Okay? What happens then? Well, moon is in the sign of Scorpio. And if moon, especially in the first 5 to 6 degrees of Scorpio, your moon is debilitated. Moon is the mind, the mother, emotions, peace of mind. Moon is your ability to think and react to the world. In the sixth house, your mind is always involved in conflicts. Conflicts with the mother, conflicts with your own subconscious mind. You are always there dealing with problems throughout your life. But this is a great thing. You can also become a healer. Like 8th house represents a house of surgeries and transformation. You can change people, you can transform people's lives through healing, through medicine, through surgeries, becoming a doctor. Doctors have this placement. Sure, most doctors have psychological problems, but they're there to help. They dig deep. So what your earnings, your value, now goes into the sixth house with moon. So your mind is trying to make earnings, trying to make wealth through conflicts. That means you can be a lawyer. You can be a soldier, a fighter, okay? Especially Mars aspects moon. But moon is sitting in the a sign of Mars, especially the sign of transformation, sign of, digging deep into things. So you can become you can earn your money through detective. Being a detective, you can earn your money being a lawyer. You can earn your money in the medical or nursing industry, or you can work as a veterinarian, somebody who loves to nurture animals. But the thing is, just in the very first 5 degrees, especially, mind is very conflicted. So you gotta meditate a lot. You gotta have a lot more positive outlook with this, and especially you gotta see the conjunction and aspects of planets. If Moon sits with Jupiter, it'll be a totally different ideology in the mind. Now let's say if Mars controls your second house. If Mars controls your second house and goes into the sixth house, it shows that you can run into conflicts with your brother. There can be power struggle with the brother or any male member of the family. Because again, Mars is a soldier, Mars is a fighter, Mars is your energy, Mars is your competitive behavior. And when Mars goes into the sixth house of enemy, obstacles, and deaths and diseases, it does very well. Mars wants to defeat all of them. But again, knowing, even though Mars is defeating its enemies, defeating diseases, coming out of diseases, yet still you are dealing with conflict. And since it's the second house of family, a lot of issues regarding aggression and conflicts with the family, especially if you have a male brother or if a male family member like a cousin or something, is involved with you regarding your family assets or family values or anything regarding the family, it can run into conflicts. But at the same time, you will be able to overcome those conflicts. Now, let's say if Mars is in the sign of Pisces in the sixth house, as being Scorpio ruling the second house, it shows that your action and your ability to go aggressively towards things can be more into a spiritual realm. You could be a yoga teacher. You could be a Tai Chi instructor. You could be into martial arts, and you could be into any sports requiring feet like soccer, like running, because Pisces is feet. And you're dealing with your everyday life is now dealing with competition and conflicts with that. So it can show you could be a runner and competing with other people, in martial arts competing with other person. You can be their best friend, but when you're in the arena, you're fighting them, okay? Mars can also represent somebody who may be into like law field as well, because again, Pisces is still ruled by Jupiter, which is law and order. Law and order could go into any kind of spiritual field. You could be a lawyer working for a spiritual organization. You can be a doctor. You can be a healer, spiritual healer, Ayurvedic teacher. Because Mars represents the medical industry, Pisces represents spirituality. You combine them both, you can get a Ayurvedic healer who is a medicine man. At the same time, he's quite aggressive about healing your diseases. But whenever I give you the significance, that I'm giving you all the significance together. The specific thing that Mars will be doing all depends on its conjunction aspects that it receives and its placement in the D9 and D10 chart that finalizes exactly what's happening in your horoscope. Now let's say Mercury rules your second house and Mercury goes into the sixth house. And let's say it was Virgo that Mercury was controlling in the second house, and the sixth house is now in the sign of Capricorn. And Mercury is what? Mercury is a significator of your speech. It's a significator of your communication, your business skills, your logical thinking, your logical mind, logical intelligence. Okay, it represents your siblings. And in this scenario, in the second house, it also represents family and wealth and value. So what it shows is that, first of all, Mercury is one of those planets, one of those benefic planets who actually also does good in the sixth house. Mercury is your logical intelligence and your logical mind. And in the sixth house of value of money, it shows you're very good with money. You know where to spend and how much to spend. However, though, it can cause conflicts with your siblings. It can cause conflicts. Your money might just come as a business person through creating enemies and creating conflicts with people. Your speech will be very aggressive because not only second house represents speech, but now Mercury, who's a significator of speech, controls the second house. Your speech is very straightforward, business-like, and very much cutthroat. You're all about organization and discipline and arranging things in the most proper way possible. Like you may even have this phobia, nervous system of arranging everything neat and clean, and until it's done, you're not satisfied. So Mercury can bring these good and bad qualities at the same time. You can be a brilliant businessman who knows how to take care of the enemies, but at the same time, you create enemies in your family as well. You create families with the people you work with, your colleagues. Okay, and especially taking over family business can cause a lot of conflicts. Venus controls your second house. Let's say Venus is ruling Taurus, your second house. Now Venus, which is about sensuality, pleasure, love, relationship, sexuality, goes into the sixth house. Shows that, and in sixth house now, Venus is debilitated, especially if it's between 10 and 15 degrees. Here it can show that a lot of conflicts in your relationship when you form a relationship with the opposite sex or the same sex. It shows that you can be in a substance abuse. You can find pleasure through drinking, doing drugs. You create relationship with people who are going to not only create conflicts for you, but will also take away your wealth through conflict. It can show that you may get into accidents as well. Why? Because not only Venus is not controlling the second house of value, but Venus is the significator of conveniency and is the significator of vehicles. So in the sixth house, it can show you can lose your wealth by getting into some sort of an accident. And Venus, which is, the value of your relationship, it shows that you are very realistic about those relationships. You're not about this hoo-ha of romance and all that. You're not a very pleasant person to be in a relationship scenario. Unless, of course, Jupiter aspects Venus and gives it a positive support. Or if Venus is exalted in the Nimansha, shows that over time, you finally realize what love in a relationship is, and you were finally able to control yourself in that. You were finally able to overcome the wrong crowd that you were involved in, because Venus is a very soft planet. However, Venus can show that a person is a healer, person may be a veterinarian and a doctor. Like somebody who looks at healing people in a very realistic and in a very, in a very focused manner. Like if an animal comes to you, if somebody brings their animal to you to heal as a veterinarian, you won't be all like emotionally attached to that animal. You'll be more like, all right, what do I need to do to fix this animal in the right place? But then again, that healing quality is automatically there because Virgo is the sign of healing, sign of health, sign of, healing people through Ayurveda. But since Venus is debilitated, it can show that you can run into some problems like people can have HIV or people can run into sexually transmitted diseases. But that only happens if, there's other yogas being formed. It's not just Venus in the sixth house. A lot of people have that. I know people in my family who are like 60, 70 now living a healthy life with Venus in Virgo and debilitated. But yeah, their relationship, they suck when it comes to relationship. They're very realistic about it. They're just like no nonsense type of thing. So you gotta look at what is actually happening. Let's say Jupiter. Jupiter controls your second house. Let's say Jupiter is Sagittarius, is controlling sign of Sagittarius is in your second house. So the ruler of that is Jupiter, is in the sixth house. Shows that your value of family and your family assets are now being controlled through conflicts. And the sixth house matter. And Jupiter is a significator of finance. Jupiter is a significator of the second house itself. So it shows that your money will be built through the sixth house matter, which could be accounting, which could again be healing, which could be a sports coach in sports, because Jupiter is also represents coaching and sports, and it's now in the sign of Aries in the sixth house, which is a sign ruled by Mars, aggressive sign. So very aggressive towards things related to finance. You invest aggressively, but you're very impulsive. And that's where you could lose your wealth, because you will impulsively, waste your money in investments. It can show a lot of competition and a lot of conflicts with your children and your family members regarding financial and business matter. Why? Because not only your Jupiter is in the sign of conflict, but it's in the sign of tamasic sign of Aries, meaning that, and in the sixth house, which is a Dushtana house, and it also controls your fifth house as a Scorpio ascendant. So it'll show conflicts with children regarding the value that you're instilling in them, because Jupiter is also value, it's education, higher education. Your real education came through conflict, came through being a street smart. And yet you also got into conflict with your gurus, because it's not only because it's in the sixth house, but Jupiter represents gurus. Jupiter represents your elders. So a lot of conflicts in the family can be seen in this if Jupiter, doesn't receive any support from Mars. And if Rahu and Ketu axis is there on Jupiter, and let's say Saturn is in the fourth house looking at Jupiter, a lot of stress on Jupiter. Okay, so this is how you would start looking at any planet who's there. You look at their significance, you look at what they represent in that particular chart, and then you see what sign they're sitting in, which is kind of transforming their energy. Okay, let's say Saturn. Saturn rules your second house. Let's say Aquarius. Aquarius is a sign that is about large organization. It's about scientific thinking. It's about reality. It's about positive thinking and how to bring societies up. Saturn is a ruler of that. It goes in the sixth house. Saturn represents delay. Saturn represents structure, discipline, organization, boundaries, old people, ancient things, unprivileged people. So it shows, and sits in the sign of Gemini of communication, it shows you are a person who may fight for the unprivileged, who will fight and give a voice to the people who are suffering in the world, whether it's through nonprofit organization, or whether it's you writing a book, you giving a speech. You will give long lectures on this subject. Okay, you are the one who fights for animals who are suffering. You may go out, save animals from different places. You are very, and again, Saturn is a natural malefic. Malefics do well in the sixth house. So Saturn suppresses the sixth house, suppresses your enemies, suppresses debts and diseases. But what it does, since Saturn rules the house of wealth, your wealth built slowly and steadily. It's not like, oh, boom, I got everything. No, over a period of 15, 20 years, you will build your wealth. Okay. Now, like I said, there's Raj yogas and Dhan yogas are occurring in, even in the sixth house. So let's say if Saturn, the Lord of the second, and Lord of the fifth, Venus, are in the sixth house together. This is forming a Raj Yoga. Or I'm sorry, not Raj Yoga, Dhan Yoga. Okay? But at the same time, it's also forming a Raj Yoga as well. Because on Capricorn ascendant, Venus and Saturn rules Kendra and Trikona houses, and they also rule the Dhan houses, second house. Okay? So in this way, is controlling a Raj and Dhan Yoga together in the sixth house. It shows then that your wealth, you will gain status by going through competition, by dealing with enemies and defeating them. Your wealth and source of value in your life will come through defeating enemies and defeating, your obstacles. You will run into obstacle, and through that you'll build your wealth. So maybe you are a lawyer, you get into disputes and you help other people gain wealth, and through that you make your own wealth. You can be anything. You can be a police officer, you can be you can be an army. Venus in the sixth house can provide army as well. You can love you can form relationships with people in the authority, in the army field, or in political police field, and through that you're gaining wealth. You're catching the bad guy. You love doing that because Venus is there, and when you catch them and every month you get paid as a police officer, you are making money through conflicts, and then you rise through the status. So when Saturn Mahadasha comes and Venus Antradasha comes, or either way, then what happens, you may get a promotion to where now you're suddenly becoming a chief of police through this in the sixth house. You're rising in status in the terms of dealing with conflicts. So positive things can come as well as negative things can come as well. With Saturn, it may delay certain things, or it'll may suppress them. But in sixth house is always a good thing, because Saturn looks at the 8th house, 12th house, and 3rd house. All the negative houses are being subdued with Saturn. This is one of the best places as a healer, as a doctor, as somebody who, finds that life can be defeated, or life's obstacle can be defeated. Saturn here gives a long life to a person. So, guys, this was my basic explanation of second lord in the sixth house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know where your second lord in the sixth house is placed, for that, check out the links below. Check out my books, Astrology at the Speed of Light and Conjunctions at the Speed of Light. And when you get these books, I will send you the link to look at your charts. Just make sure you follow the directions below. And remember, my book, Aspects at the Speed of Light, comes out on the 27th, where aspects will just become a second nature to you. And it'll be the easiest way to learn aspects. And I make astrology easy because I just know what it's doing and how to actually communicate to a person in the most layman's term. So this way you just know what's happening. All right, see you later.